we are going deep for this one. It's all about the Tyranids. The Tyranids are the next big faction that are going to receive this range refresh. They're going to launch the next big Warhammer 40,000 edition. We should be seeing something hinted at Adepticon this coming week, and also with Warhammer Fest in April, this is where it's rumoured that we're going to get the big reveal about them. But I want to talk about the narrative story of the Tyranids, because Games Workshop have given us some hints already, and I think this potentially could be absolutely mind-blowingly cool. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. Now, one of the biggest things about all this whole Tyranid range refresh for me is the narrative. Like, what the hell is going on with the Tyranids? The Tyranids have always been this huge threat. I've always said personally, Tyranids, Orcs, Necrons, they are like the biggest threat to the galaxy. They have so much bodies, so much power, so much technology that can dwarf the Imperium and all the other races in the galaxy, personally, for me. Now, the Tyranids, they're coming and all they want is to eat you. That's it. It's simple math. You go in and you come out the backside as something else. They're here to consume the galaxy and move on to the next big feast, the next big galaxy to eat. Now, we've seen massive wars so far with, you know, the Ultramarines fighting them in the east. We've seen Baal attacked and the Blood Angels standing their ground. Great book called The Devastation of Baal by Guy Haley. If you want to go and check it out, really would recommend that. But we haven't really seen them come into the western part of the Imperium. And there's a lot of theories and potential story now to be had around this big incursion of the Tyranids coming in from this western part. So one of the big things that Games Workshop have given us is a reference point to the actual Tyranid forces. This was spotted by a chap over on my Discord server called Hobby Waffle. Massive shout out to him for providing the image that I'm going to put in the background. You can see right now on the left side of the Imperium, the Segmentum Pacificus, is a big purple cloud. That represents the forces of the Tyranids. Now, in that purple cloud, just to make sure it is the Tyranids, you can actually see the Tyranid symbol. This is the first big tease. This is the first big reveal from Games Workshop themselves, saying this is where the Tyranid forces are going to be hitting. They're going to be consuming, ravaging that western part of the Imperium. But the really cool thing is, if we zoom in, we actually kind of have some reference points to some huge imperial worlds, which could be in the line of the incoming destruction of the Tyranids. Big imperial worlds. Krieg may be one of those worlds that gets affected by the Tyranid invasion. Now, if you put your eyes to the background of the video, you can see what I'm on about. A huge shout out to another Discord member of mine called Abby for pointing this out to me. It's really getting me hyped. But if you look at the reference points of what we had with the tease of the Adepticon image, and we try and put that on one of the latest maps that Games Workshop has now that shows off the Great Rift, you can actually reference it to some of the star systems that the Imperial own. One of those star systems is Ultima Macaria. Now, if that is not familiar to you, it should be, because this was the last world that was conquered by Lord Solar Macarius, one of the most renowned, one of the most heroic figures in the 40k lore, in the Imperial's lore, in the Imperial Guard's lore. He was basically Alexander the Great in space. This was the last world he conquered before his troops didn't want to go any further. They just wanted to go back home, be with their families, stuff like that. Kind of symbolizes Alexander the Great. You know, Macarius, Alexander, they kind of look the same as well. So this is a massive imperial world. If I'm not mistaken, there's a massive statue dedicated to Macarius on this world, which can be seen from orbit. So that is a huge stat. I don't even think the Emperor has something that big. So this goes to show how big he is. Now, the Tyranid image is actually overlapping this. It's actually overlapping that and a few other systems. One of the other ones, which I just mentioned, potentially could be Krieg, which is kind of in the Western Pacificus, Segmentum Pacificus, but not really there. It's more to the southern bit, but the tail kind of whips around, and they could be brought into this war as well. From a personal level, this is something that I would absolutely love. I would love to see, like, big Imperial worlds combat these huge Tyranid threats. Krieg, like Krieg is such a big selling range. If you get Kriegers, maybe Krieg versus a Tyranid box sets, like how mad would that be? I know I get regular questions asking me, hey Valrak, is there any more Krieg models coming? We had the first batch of Krieg models released with Kill Team, and ever since then, it's been completely silent with Games Workshop. There has been a few itsy-bitsy rumors regarding 2 new Imperial Guard regiments being made. I personally take this as 2 reimagined Guard regiments. One is the Catachans, and one of course, Krieg, more plastic in Krieg. So maybe this could be a way of Games Workshop introducing more plastic, like Krieg infantry units, heavy weapons teams, fast attacks, tanks, specialist weapons, characters, stuff like that. Maybe this is one of the ways they want to go down that road. Now, since this is a Space Marine fanboy channel, and I am the greatest Space Marine fanboy, yes, I'm declaring myself that, I want to put this picture in the background. This picture is of my limited edition Space Marine map. It shows where all the chapters are in the galaxy, or, you know, the recent chapters, which released with 8th edition. It shows where all the Crusade fleets are, etc., etc., etc. Now, what we have in the Western Pacificus is these chapters. Technically, we have a Black Templar fleet there. We have something called the Stormwings, which I'm not really familiar with. We have the White Templars, who were Sons of Dawn, but then it's come out retcon that they didn't have Rogue Dawn's gene seed, so we don't know who they belong to at this point. We have the White Consuls, who are based in the Western Pacificus. We have another Crusade fleet all the way to the top for the Black Templars. So 2 Black Templar Crusade fleets are literally on the doorstep now, ready to fight these Tyranids. And we also have the Exorcists as well, which have now been confirmed as also Sons of Dawn. So it looks like there's a lot of Sons of Dawn defending the Imperium again. Let's not forget the Reclaimers of Dawn, my personal chapter, right? My fanfiction chapter, who I based in the Western Pacificus. So they're going to be there as well. So it's a Dawnian party at this moment in time. And also at the top, you have Dark Sauce. It's the Darkhold and stuff like that. And I think that's it. Well, the Iron Hands are just above it in the with Medusa right near the Eye of Terror, but I don't think they're really going to be involved. Now, of course, we do know that with the 10th edition box set, the Ultramarines are going to be there. So the Ultramarines, they're going to have some type of Indomitus fleet, Crusade fleet, whatever the hell they think of it doing with the lore. We know the Ultramarines are going to show up. So what we're going to have now combating the Tyranid foe is a bunch of Space Marine chapters, a bunch of Imperial Guard with, you know, attached to famous worlds, Krieg, Macaria and stuff like that. And also, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of involvement from the Segmentan Solar Forces, specifically the I was going to say Grey Knights, specifically the Custodians. Now, for those of people who are not aware, we had a box set a couple of years ago, I think it was last year, and it was a Gene Stealer Cult box set versus Custodians. It was based on Terra, and I think this is potentially one of the biggest plot points now we're going to have going forward, because it was established that there was a Gene Stealer cult on Terra and the Custodians were going down to try and sort it out, to kill those things. I think this could be potentially the big beacon now, which is driving this huge push into the western parts of the Imperium, pushing it all the way to go to Terra. This could be one of the biggest conflicts that we've seen in Warhammer 40,000 for a very, very long time. Now, there's also another theory, which I'm kind of on board with at this moment in time, is that Vastor, Abaddon, whatever the hell's happening in the Arks of Omen, are one of the ones that causes this problem with the Tyranids to appear in the Western Fringe. Maybe this device they're trying to build, this weapon or something, has a backfire, misfires, does something wrong, and it really focuses the Tyranid push in the western part of the Imperium, because at this moment in time, we actually don't have any clues of what's going to be happening during the end arc of the Arks of Omen. Yes, there's hints that the 5th book is called The Lion awakens, the Lion may be already back, etc., etc., etc. You know, that kind of stuff is just floating around the rumor mill at this moment in time, but we don't have any facts on what this weapon is still, what it could do, what it could achieve for the forces of chaos. Maybe that was Abaddon's plan all along, is to open another front for the Imperial forces, so his forces can push into different areas, start taking planets, resources, and recruits, and then really go to the main push and retake Terra, as his main plan is. And let's not forget Space Marine 2. Everyone keeps mentioning this to me, and I'm like, I know, Space Marine 2 features Ultramarines fighting Tyranids, right? That's what we got. Hive Fleet Leviathan. The box set is apparently called Hive Fleet Leviathan. The teasers that we've seen are Hive Fleet Leviathan. So maybe this is where that game is set as well, and this is going to be one of the integral parts of the story. Maybe the world we're fighting on is the Macarius world, right? Well, it could be. I'm not saying it is that, but it would be really, really cool if that is the world that we're actually fighting on. A shrine world, it kind of looked like. It would be really, really cool to see like the shrines of Lord Solar Macarius in person as an Ultramarine. But we do know that, of course, that is going to be a big showdown with the Ultramarines versus the Tyranid forces, and I'm sure there's going to be a little sprinkle of chaos in there. I've actually heard through the rumours that chaos actually does feature in the game, but that is probably going to be another video for another time. I'm sure we'll get more information about that game very, very, very soon. GDC, if I'm not mistaken, is happening this week or next week, and I know Owen Rees, I think he's the head marketing guy at Games Workshop, has flown out to that event. So, potentially, we could be seeing some big Space Marine 2 news happening within the next few weeks. Typically, when I'm away on vacation, that is when they start releasing the big things, and I'm going away on vacation at the end of this month. Whatever happens at this point, I am truly, truly excited. One of the biggest things about 40k for me is the narrative aspect to it. I love reading the books, you know, the lore, the chapters, the characters, the battles, the wars. It's such an attractive thing for me in this setting. Of course, I love the hobby, I love the models and stuff like that, but the stories, the lore, I think I really put them up there above everything else. So I'm really excited to see what Games Workshop potentially can do with bringing this new Tyranid force into the western parts of the Imperium, the planets that are going to be fighting, the characters, the HQs, everything like that that potentially could be happening. Anyway, that is enough waffling from me as always. If you've got any thoughts, feedback, anything like that at all, post it down below and we can have a nice little chin waffle down there as we always do. See you now, have a great day, and bye-bye.